Hello, welcome to another Grief Share video. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the struggles that I've had lately um, with trying to get a job. It's something that I've been through many years in my life. It's not really just a recent thing, but um, the last couple weeks I've been just I guess feeling more down than usual, kind of depressed. So um, I've been trying to look for jobs again. Um, I go through this every now and then. Um, it's been such a struggle to try to find something that works well for me with the problems that I have. And I know I've talked about some of it on my previous videos. I have a lot of headaches, sometimes migraines. Um, I have PMDD, which um, I tend to have to stay on medication for. I've tried going without medication for that, but it's just so many more problems when I don't have like birth control, for example. Um, so I have to be on birth control to kind of control the PMDD, and I've talked about I think that I have PTSD. Um, so I struggle with managing stress sometimes, but um, really ever since I was young, I've kind of struggled to figure out what I want to do as a job. I mean, um, when I look at these videos, I kind of look at them more as a hobby. Um, but they do help me sometimes get through some difficult times in life. Unfortunately, it's not enough. I think we all have a certain standard of wanting to do things. I guess um, throughout the week and things like that, and I've considered doing videos every day. It's just not something that I want to invest that much time in. So, like I said, it's kind of like a constant journey to try to figure out like what do I want to do, what can make me happy because I'm tired of feeling miserable or depressed or things like that, and not having enough to do and not feeling like I have enough purpose in life definitely makes that worse. Excuse me. But I sometimes go back to like when I get in these situations of trying to find a job, I sometimes go back to wanting to get things more resolved with like my mental health, wanting to get the depression and the headaches resolved before I get a job because it is a lot to try to deal with while you're working. But sometimes I feel like I can't get those resolved without having a job. Like sometimes a job can make you feel better about yourself and get more confidence through it. So it's a constant like trying to figure out what is the right thing to do in the time period that I'm at. So I'll go a few months without trying to find a job, and then I'll go a while trying to find a job and just see if I can find anything that I'm okay with. But once I finally do find something I'm okay with, which that in itself is hard enough to do, I end up trying to um, find a way to get the job. But when I apply and when I put my resume out there, it tends to look pretty bad. Um, and of course, with the things that I've gone through physically, I don't have a very good job history. Um, I've had some bad experiences in my jobs, so I haven't stayed at many for very long. So of course that doesn't look good. And I've also found out things that I didn't know before I got in something. Like I had a pathway towards trying to become a paralegal, and I really liked the subject matter. But I found that when I got on the job, I just didn't really like the job. I didn't really like sitting in an office all day. And unfortunately, I didn't know that before I got into it. So I spent a lot of years and time invested into some career path that I just didn't want to finish. So, I'm sometimes trying to examine a new career path now, and I have to explain to employers that I don't want to be in this career anymore, and so that isn't good. And then on top of that, I haven't worked for 5 years. Well, there's nothing on my resume for 5 years. I tried a couple retail places, but I just couldn't stay long enough to even put it on my resume. Um, it looks like I haven't worked for 5 years, and I have to explain that. Um, it's tough to even get into an interview because of what my resume has on it. And then it's tough to try to explain to employers um, why my resume looks like it does. Um, but I've gotten better with trying to explain that I have PTSD, and it's caused me a lot of problems and migraines, and I've just tried to be more honest about why things are the way they are. But it's still very difficult to even get um, into an interview with the background that I have. Which I mean, maybe it's not fair to be frustrated with the way that the world is. It feels like people just don't have any understanding for somebody that's been through um, a difficult childhood. And I think part of that comes from people, not everybody, but some people in previous generations. Um, they went through some really difficult things, but it didn't affect their job performance. They were able to do things on their job and not be held back in any way. Um, Now I can't explain that. Sometimes I wonder if just certain certain things are passed down in generations, like one family may just happen to handle stress better. And I think in general men tend to handle stress better than women anyway. But um, I could think of examples where I've seen men go through a lot of trauma, but they're able to do things in the workplace and not be held back. Women, same thing. I've heard of women that have been through some difficult things, but they're able to meet their the standards for their job in one way or another to at least keep the job. Me, on the other hand, um, I've I've tried many things. I've tried to meet the standards of jobs, and sometimes I still end up just um, not able to stay. And of course, I've been fired several times. But I think a lot of it comes from people just don't they don't communicate with employers. Sorry, employers don't communicate with employees as much as they could. I feel like there's that part of it, but I understand on the other end, like it's a business. You shouldn't invest too much time into um, communicating with employees and trying to figure out what exactly is going on. But uh, I look at the places I've worked and I see a lot of unfair things that happened. Not just because I had problems. I've worked with some difficult people too. Um, but I do feel like more than anything, the physical problems are what I ran into the most. But I mean, like I was saying, I don't know if the frustration should really go towards the way the world is, or really the way my upbringing was, the way my parents were, what I went through growing up. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of frustration towards that. Um, Sometimes I really just don't know what it would have been like to get at least a decent amount of love growing up, to not be abused. I don't know if I would have the physical problems that I do. Sometimes I wonder if my mother did things while she was pregnant with me that she shouldn't have, because there's things that don't really make sense to me why I have the problems that I do. And unfortunately, yeah, I can't talk to her about it. Um, but I mean, it was a different time period. 30, 40 years ago, people didn't know as much, and I know people know a whole lot more now. Um, but I mean, not to be mean or anything, but my mother was just careless. She did. If she had a feeling that she needed um, to get to go away, like a bad feeling, she would do whatever she felt like she needed to do. So, sometimes I do wonder if she did drugs while I was pregnant. Unfortunately, there's no way to know because she just won't talk really. But like I was saying, I have a lot of frustration with how I was raised. Um, None of it was really helpful, especially when it came to jobs. It felt like almost everything that I thought about a job, my mother would advise me the opposite. Um, Whatever I was thinking I should do with a job, she would say the opposite. It was just really confusing, even back then. And it didn't help that I was closed minded because of what I went through. I remember when I was starting to get to an age of where I could work. My sister had worked at a grocery store, and that's about all I knew to do. Um, I happened to be, I guess, talking to somebody. I honestly can't remember the situation exactly, but I started working as a dishwasher at a local pizza place. Um, but I mean, even that, it felt like it was not something I really wanted to do. My family may have been involved in, trying to help me find a job like that, but um, there's just so much out in the world that I couldn't imagine, and I still struggle to find the right thing, um, and imagine, you know, types of jobs that I would like to do. So I feel like that's a big area that I struggle into. But I guess that's kind of all I really had to say about that. Just the struggle with jobs over really the past several years. But just thinking about it the last couple of days. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there, and I thank you for watching. Have a good day.